Hello, welcome to the programme.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Have you stocked up on the cut price fizz and the beer and the wine, ready for a final blowout tonight? But is your New Year's resolution to drink a little less? Why is that so hard? Why is cutting down on alcohol so difficult? That's our question on Call You and Yours today. You can call us now, ring 03 700 100 444. We'll have some tips to get you going and to keep you motivated. Diane Stevenson got in touch from Staffordshire.
I feel it continues the sense of longing for a drink. I found when I tried to cut down that one drink inevitably led to another because it lowers your main inhibitions. After a heavy day out drinking to celebrate someone's birthday, I had a terrible hangover and decided to stop completely.
Why?
Because I'd tried cutting down many, many times and it just didn't work for me. And I felt that my body needed a real rest from alcohol because I was definitely drinking well over the recommended safe limits for women.
Do you know how much you were drinking? Because a lot of us don't even like to think about that, do we? Did you ever count your weekly units?
I counted them after I stopped and I became very honest about that. And I imagined a table with all the drinks on, and there were over 100 drinks on that table after a 30-day stopping period.
Wow. So tell me what you used to say to yourself when you were going to have a drink, to excuse it to yourself.
I think I used drink mainly as a reward. So it was sit down in front of the TV. I've done the day. I deserve a nice glass of wine. And obviously that might lead to another glass of wine or a gin and tonic and so on.
And what do you say to yourself now to stay motivated to keep off it?
Well, I guess my reward is feeling better, feeling fitter, more healthy, knowing that I'm not worrying about what drink is actually doing to my body, to my liver, and never having to worry about having drunk too much and said the wrong thing as well. So the motivation is being a nicer to know person overall.
And how long is it since you decided to cut back? How long have you kept it up?
I'm on my 71st day of sobriety.
Not that you're counting.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody who's drunk a lot, who gives up, will count those days. And you're not counting them with a longing for the drink necessarily. You're counting them with a sense of achievement.
Diane, thank you. Why is cutting down on alcohol so very difficult? Call us now, ring 03700 100 444. James Cappuccini lives in Brighton. James, when you've decided not to drink, what tempts you to go ahead and have a drink?
I think it's the culture we live in is so embedded. Generally, I like to drink on and off here and there, but I really struggled to moderate, which is why I kind of gave up originally.
When was that?
So it was last year for about 7 months. I just thought my body needed a break and my mind needed a break. And my mind became a lot clearer. My work was easier as well. And I thought there's got to be 100 reasons why it's great to give up. And I did write a huge list. And I thought, this is it. This is my chance of kind of just, being free from it. But the issues arise when I was with my family and they offered me a drink and I said, no, I don't want one. And they looked at me like, oh, why have you quit? And I said, well, I just want a break. I didn't actually think I'd do it forever, but I thought there's a chance that I could actually break free of it for the rest of my life. But I never said to anybody that I've definitely quit, just in case.
And did you quit completely?
I did, well, for seven months, until one time I just thought, let's try a glass of wine, just to see what it was like. And it was incredibly strong. And I thought, wow, this really is like a poison. And I thought, do I like this? Do I really want to go back to this? And I thought, well, actually, it's really nice. I like the feeling again. And since then, I've been, drinking again from that moment. But the point I was making earlier is that I tended not to be invited out for drinks because my friends like to go out for a drink and socialise that way. And so I realised that even though I've got 2 kids and I don't actually go out much anyway. When I did want to see my friends, they kind of just a bit bemused. They didn't really want to hang out with somebody who wasn't drinking. But I actually did miss being with them and drinking at the same speed and getting a bit silly and, chatting more and just having more banter and a bit more of a laugh.
And so where are you with it now? You gave it up for 6 months. You enjoyed being free of it. You described being free of it as though it was a source of worry and anxiety to you. Where are you with it now?
At the moment, I do like a drink. I like wine, generally. Sometimes I go out with friends. We have a few drinks, but because I'm getting a bit older now and I've got kids who wake me up at 6:30, the very thought of having a hangover is just too bad to think about. So I tend to keep a top on it. But after a few drinks, I think I've had enough, and I have a cup of tea instead. That's
James and Diane speaking to me before we came on air. Why is cutting down on alcohol so difficult? Call us, ring 03700 100 444. You can text us to 84844, tweet #you and yours, or email us youandyours@bbc.co.uk. Penny's emailed really making the same point as James about alcohol being so embedded in the culture. She says, I find the biggest trigger for wanting a drink is seeing someone on TV or in a movie get a drink. It always makes me want to get one too. I did dry January last year and I continued for a few months. I'm now drinking occasionally, much less than before, and I will be doing dry January again. Well, I promised you some tips to get you going and keep you motivated. Our expert guest today does that for a living. He's Simon Chapple. He was a heavy drinker, now he's an alcohol coach. Simon, how much were you drinking?
I was drinking anything between 1 bottle and 3 bottles of red wine daily. Sometimes I'd also have beer with my dinner and then start on the wine. So it was quite a considerable amount.
Why did you decide to stop?
I spent about 5 years in a place where I knew I had a problem. I mean, I drunk for over 20 years daily. I can hardly remember one day where I didn't drink. And the last 5 years, I was just in this place where my anxiety had skyrocketed and I knew I had a problem and I just didn't know what to do about it. And I had this terrible sense of internal conflict where half of me wanted to stop, half of me wanted to keep drinking. So I just kept cracking open the wine to make those horrible thoughts go away.
Why is cutting down so difficult, Simon?
I believe a lot of people approach it using willpower, and willpower is a bit like a muscle. After time, it wears out. If you can come at it where you look at your beliefs around the true benefits of alcohol and how alcohol's impacting your life, you can start changing your mindset and you can move to a place where you don't feel you're being deprived. You just feel like you don't want to drink and alcohol becomes insignificant and irrelevant.
We don't like to talk about it, do we? But the reason we find it hard to quit is that it is a highly addictive substance. So we shouldn't be surprised that, like smokers, people who drink every day at a certain time of day have a really deep craving for a drink.
Absolutely. And whilst I say try not to use willpower, there's always a bit of willpower required to kind of get through those first couple of weeks. And it is absolutely an addictive substance.
Diane, that first caller, she's probably typical of a lot of people. She was really looking forward to a glass of wine as a treat, marking the end of her working day. But she couldn't stop at one glass and she felt in the end that she was just drinking too much. What would you advise people who look forward to that glass of wine so much that they almost can't imagine their life without it?
Well, this comes down to us placing a value on the outcome that alcohol gives us. So I used to believe I couldn't have fun without alcohol. I used to believe I couldn't be stress-free without alcohol. But when I started exploring what a life without alcohol was like, I realised I could have fun, more fun than ever without alcohol. And it sounds like Diane has actually realised that and she's unlocked the key to sobriety. 71 days is absolutely amazing. So well done, Diane. And that's what this is all about. Looking at what you truly believe and what the real truth is.
To change the conversation you're having with yourself about drinking.
Most definitely.
Simon Chapple, thanks for the minute. I will come back to you later. Why is cutting down on alcohol so difficult? Call us. Ring 03700 100 444. We've got callers waiting. Bryony Dunseith is on the line. She's in Brighton. Bryony, why do you think cutting down on alcohol is so difficult?
Hi there.
Hi.
I think it's a two-pronged thing, really. I think, like everyone has been saying, it's very much because of this very alcocentric society that we live in. It's literally everywhere. It's from, it's not just at the pub, it's children's birthday parties. It's, people go for a pint after they've been to the gym. So that's one thing. But I think it's also because it's incredibly addictive, and it's just so good at its job. So, if you just need to relax, one glass of wine, it does its job. But that one glass of wine often, as your previous caller said, turns into more.
Just while you're speaking, Brian, sorry to interrupt, I've had an email from Ali in Monmouthshire. We did Stoptober, I don't know how you say that, and we didn't start again. But the biggest problem is peer pressure from friends who want you to keep them company. They don't realise it's making it so much harder, and they would never do the same with cigarettes, for example. Cigarettes don't have the same stigma as drink. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Oh, totally. That was the main thing for me when I started, was having to deal with all the questions. Where every time I went out, it was, why aren't you drinking? Why can't you just have one? Just have one. Are you an alcoholic? Some of these are quite personal, big questions. And actually, you just want to stop drinking. It's not making you feel very, very good.
Yes, I want to ask you about that.
The biggest thing, batting that off.
Why did you stop?
I stopped because it wasn't making me feel very good. I had been drinking for my whole life. I worked from about 12 was when I had my first drink, and from that very first drink, I felt like it turned me into this, gave me this kind of alter ego, this kind of this confidence. It quelled all my sort of social anxiety, and then it was just normalised throughout my 20s, and it just kind of built up to the point I was in my late 30s, and just physically and mentally, I wasn't feeling very well anymore, and the feelings of shame the next day. I was behaving in a way that I would never normally behave if I was sober, which was okay in my 20s. It was a laugh and a joke, but as soon as you're getting, into your 30s, as a parent, it became too much. Something had to give.
What do you say to yourself about it now? Going to the point that Simon Chapple made, you have to change the way you think about alcohol. What do you say to yourself about it?
It's exactly that. So, for example, when I first gave up 18 months ago, I would sit, I maybe had a really busy day at work, and my shoulders would be really, really tense. And that would have been the time when I said, I really need a glass of wine. I need a glass of wine to relax. Now I have just trained my brain to say, what does my body actually need? My body doesn't, a glass of wine actually will cause more stress. It will not make me actually happy. I will wake up tomorrow feeling disappointed and sad. What my body actually needs is maybe a hot bath, or to get into some comfy clothes, or to have some nice food and a nice warm cup of tea, and just to relax or have an early night. So yeah, it's brain training to make yourself sort of changing the alcohol is fun to alcohol actually makes me sad,
Bridie,
it's the opposite.
Thanks so much. Why is cutting down on alcohol so difficult? You can call us now, 03700 100 444. Amanda Taylor did that. She's in Malden. Amanda, what do you think? Why is it so difficult to cut down on alcohol?
Hello there, Winifred.
Hi.
I think it's really difficult because there's such a poor selection of non-alcoholic drinks available. That's partly it. So once you make the decision that you're not going to drink, well, how do you go out and have a good time?
How long ago did you start to look for non-alcoholic alternatives? Because they have got better. That's what the drinks makers say. It was quite recently. Yeah. What do you drink instead then?
Well, I've actually found something that's like fake Prosecco.
Yes, and you think, and that feels like tastes like the nearest, does it?
Yes. If I go out, I don't feel like Billy No Mates. I've actually got an arrangement. I live in the country. I go to quite a few local pubs, and they actually very kindly allow me to bring my own stuff in. Don't charge me for it. I've always offered to pay corkage. I never get charged for it because my husband and my friends are quite big drinkers, so they know if I'm coming in, people are going to be spending a lot of money and I'm going to be driving them all home. So it sort of works from that point of view. But it means I can sit there with it in a nice bucket of ice with a flute and everything else. I got all the questions, just like your other callers in the beginning and everything else, and now I don't even think about it. The other thing I did as well that actually helped me a lot was I got an app on my phone so that I could record what I wasn't drinking, and I'm just looking at it now, and I've been clean for 633 days. I've not had 3,167 drinks.
Wow.
I've saved £11,700 and 383,000 calories.
Why did you want to stop? I mean, you've given me all the good reasons for stopping, a bit like stopping smoking. Yes,
I think like many of your other callers, one glass of wine was turning into one bottle every night. I didn't feel great. I've got I'm in my middle 50s. I've got grandchildren now. Drinking's been a big part of our lives. I've lived in 5 houses. Every one of them's been opposite a pub. I've actually had bar rooms in 2 of my houses. So my husband drinks, quite happily. But I just decided I didn't want to do it anymore. And I have to say to all the ladies, and probably the gentlemen out there as well, I went out to a drinks party just before Christmas, walked into the room, saw lots of people I haven't seen for ages, and everyone said to me, God, you look fantastic. Your skin is glowing.
Amanda,
and actually, those little things just keep you going. And now, occasionally I do get the urge and I think, oh, it would be nice to have a drink. But then when I think about it, I play it through in my mind a couple of hours on. And I think, do I want to be red in the face, blotchy-eyed tomorrow, have a hangover? No, I don't. And I just think I love the way I feel now. It feels like total freedom. We're going out to the pub tonight for a good old party. Don't have to worry about a cab. I don't have to worry about anything. And I've already got 2 bottles of fake Prosecco on chill. So it just works for me.
Amanda, thank you. Etty Martin's in Stratford-on-Avon. Etty, why do you think it's so difficult to give up drinking?
I think it's because other people get surprised when you suggest that you're doing it. And that happened to me at the beginning. I stopped drinking 21 years ago when my daughter was 1. She's 22 now. And I just felt that at the beginning, people feel uncomfortable around you when you're out. And when you don't want to drink, they're trying to encourage you all the time to have one. And it's about how they feel about you not drinking more than how you feel sometimes.
Why did you want to stop for yourself, though?
It was a detox thing. I just went on a detox to lose some weight, actually. And part of that meant no alcohol for 28 or 29 days. And my husband at the time bought me a lovely bottle of Merlot at the end of it, thinking that was something to look forward to. When I got to the end of the detox, I thought, I don't really actually fancy that. I'll see how long I can go without drinking. And I haven't drunk since, really. So it's been quite a long time.
We've had an email from Peter Walter. He says, the benefits of dry January leading to a dry life are obvious, but sadly my resolve to follow this path only resulted in a damp January, then a return to previous habits. I hope others are more successful. What tip would you give Peter? I guess you have to want to do it, don't you?
I think you've got to have to want to do it more than you really think. Yeah, you've got to want to do it. You've got to feel that you don't want to drink, you don't want to have the hangovers again. That's what was getting me. So the older you get, the hangovers seem to get worse. I don't know if that's for other people. I seem to cope with it much younger. When I was younger, I could do it, But and I wanted to be a non-drinker, and I enjoyed it. And I didn't actually miss the drinking, and I could have fun without drinking. That was important for me. And so I had a real strong sense of not wanting to do it after that month. And I haven't since.
Thank you so much. Richie's in Dorset. Richie, why do you think it's so difficult to cut down on your drinking?
Hello, Winifred.
Hello.
I wanted to talk to you. Not under these circumstances. It's because underlying every substance problem is a deep depression that feels utterly unbearable. So you drink, and alcohol is a depressant. So you drink, you get depressed. You drink more, you get more depressed.
Richie, you're speaking for yourself here, I know. So tell me, why did you become depressed?
Well, everybody's circumstances is unique to themselves. And I retired early. I was living in, I had no money problems. And the point I want to make is that it affects all sorts of people. No matter how successful you think they are, they can still be prone. So why did I want to drink? It was to negate the short-term depression I used to feel on waking. And the more I drank, the more depressed and anxious I became. So
Richie,
the more you drink.
Do you think that most people who are drinking more than they want to drink, so even if it's not a lot, they might be just drinking, 2 or 3 drinks every day and they don't really want to do that. Do you think they're all or many of them trying to, compensate for some sadness in the way that you were?
No, not at all. As I said, everybody's different. But in my case, it was a very deep depression, and I thought it was a way of dealing it. But one point I'd like to make is that I always thought it was a sign of utter weakness to go and seek professional help, go and talk to your GP. Because I thought they would judge me. And the minute I talked to my GP, I felt so utterly brilliant and relaxed because they didn't judge me, and my mind turned around 180 degrees, and I suddenly knew that not seeking help was a weakness. It's a strength, and particularly with men, because men are so full of themselves. I felt it was actually a strong thing to do, to go and seek help.
Richie, well done. Thank you so much. A caller who wants to remain anonymous says that binge drinking can kill. Her son had a serious drinking problem. He was using it to treat depression in the way Richie's just described. She says not every day, but fairly regularly. And one day, on his own, he had a seizure as a result of his binge drinking. It's left him with life-threatening epilepsy, brain shrinkage and more, and he is only 37. You're listening to Call You and Yours. The time now is 21 minutes to 1. We're talking about drinking today. Why is cutting down on alcohol so difficult? You can call us 03700 100 444. A little bit earlier on, I spoke to Millie Gooch. She's the founder of the Sober Girls Society. She set it up a year ago. She organises events to get people together who don't drink. She has nearly 67,000 followers on Instagram, and she told me why she thinks cutting down on alcohol is so difficult.
I think it's the peer pressure, and it's just so expected of us. It's so ingrained in us. Alcohol is everywhere, and it's not just alcohol itself. It's like alcohol merchandise. So you've got Christmas jumpers that have been saying Prosecco, ho ho ho, and you can't buy a birthday card without it saying let the fun begin. It's just absolutely everywhere. It's so hard to avoid.
Why did you want to stop drinking?
I started realising that alcohol was actually really affecting my mental health. So I was getting that really bad hangover anxiety, that like hangover fear and dread. And I kind of noticed that was permeating my everyday life. I was a binge drinker rather than like an everyday drinker. So if I would go out on a Friday night, I would party quite a lot, and then I would still feel really sort of like hungover and anxious Saturday, Sunday. And then I started to notice that Monday I was going to work and I still wasn't feeling great, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and then by the time I felt better, I would end up doing it all again. So I just decided that, it wasn't suiting my life anymore, and I wanted to give it up.
We're looking for ways to keep the motivation going, and you post a lot of motivational quotes on Instagram. Read us your 12 Days of Christmas.
Yes, so I wrote the 12 Days of Christmas. For me, drinking over Christmas actually gave me 12 things that weren't really enjoyable, so I wanted to talk about that. So it was 12 mysterious bruises, 11 cringy flashbacks, 10 cash withdrawals, 9 shocking dance moves, 8 strangers' numbers, 7 possessions missing, 6 emotional outbursts, 5 blackouts, 4 calls to exes, 3 fuming friends, 2 cancelled Ubers, and hangover anxiety.
And why is it important for you to share all that on social media?
I think for me, I try and speak to girls kind of my age, so in that millennial generation, and I think this is a new way to do it and to talk about things and be honest about things. And I think it's important for people not to go back into romanticising their relationship with alcohol, and it is always good to keep constant support and just see these little reminders just flashing up on Instagram, because I think that's really important to sort of keep you going and remember why you're doing it.
I know you're 27 and that you've been sober now for 18 months. How supportive were your friends at the time, the people that you used to drink with?
I always say it's a really interesting one, actually. When I first told them, it's not that they weren't supportive, but their reactions were quite underwhelming. I kind of thought I would say to people, I've given up drinking, and, there would be a party and people would drop banners from the ceiling. But really, they were kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm sure you're going to pick it back up again. So there was a lot of peer pressure at the start, because I think people didn't realise how serious I was about it. I got about 4 or 5 months down the line, and people kind of realised, oh, she's actually serious about this. And then from that moment, they were, the most supportive people. And now they always say, if they saw me drinking, they'd knock it out of my hand.
That's Millie Gooch, the founder of the Sober Girls Society. Michael's just emailed to say, my wife, who is driving presently, has just told me that all this discussion about giving up has made her fancy a nice cold Chardonnay. What is your experience? Why is cutting down on alcohol so difficult? Call us now, 03700 100 444. Our expert guest today is Simon Chapple. He is an alcohol coach, in the sense that he coaches people who'd like to drink a bit less. Simon, we've also had another email, what makes me drink? Sobriety. People drink to make themselves feel better. And for lots of people, it does make them feel better. They enjoy it. They haven't got any kind of problem with it. No problem with having a lovely cold glass of Chardonnay. They can leave it at 1 or maybe 2. But Millie was talking about the kind of drinking that makes her feel anxious? And Richie was saying the same thing, that he was using his drinking to treat a deep underlying depression. Can alcohol itself make you anxious, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And Millie is so right with that sense of hangover anxiety. I call it hangxiety. It might blot things out for a couple of hours while you're drinking, but you wake up the next morning and it's all back in startling high definition. Anxiety skyrocketing, depression is worse than ever. So without a shadow of a doubt, and so many people experience that.
A man called Jack's just texted to say, I'm 33, I'm an alcoholic, I drink every day. It can be as much as 3 bottles of wine a day or up to 15 pints of beer. I've tried to stop. It lasted 6 days in November last. Now I'm back where I was. I worry it could cost me my family or even worse, my health. What should he do?
I would ask Jack to... knowledge is power when you want to quit drinking. So I started by picking up some good sober books. We call them Quit Lit. Obviously, I've got... there's my book that you could look at, The Sober Survival Guide. There's loads of other great books out there. Podcasts, and really start educating yourself.
You could follow Millie.
Yeah, follow Millie. I follow Millie. She's brilliant. And look at your reasons why. I mean, Jack's already given some amazing reasons why he could look to cut alcohol out of his life, and really start exploring things and getting curious about your relationship with alcohol. But definitely look at expanding your knowledge and educating yourself.
Thanks, Simon. And Matthew's on the line in South Devon. And Matthew, why do you think giving up alcohol or cutting it down is so hard for some people?
I don't know. It's a reason why I rang in today was I find the whole concept that people, it's a challenge to give up is even a thing. I don't know if it's maybe generational. I know you've just had a chap contact you about having a drinking problem, being about, do you say he's 33?
Yes.
I'm 33 myself, and my circle of friends, it's not really a thing like it is for, it seems to be the older generation.
I know. I'm sure that the data bears that out, Matthew, that younger people drink less. I mean, the big surveys about life and health in the UK, they suggest that it's the baby boomers, the people born after the war and up to 1960. They are the people who have a problem with drink, maybe because we're more hedonistic, we're more used to indulging ourselves.
Maybe I just don't have as much, spare money. But I love drinking when I do. But it's this every day at the end of work, somehow it's a challenge to go a month without drinking. It's just a totally alien concept to me. If I go visit my parents, my father will be like, "Oh, do you fancy rum and coke?" And I'll be like, no, it's just not a thing at all.
Well, people did drink less, Matthew, when they had less money. And so people did drink less when people were less wealthy. The fact that we as a nation drink more, that's crept up as our general affluence has crept up. So not being able to afford it probably kept a load of people off there. What did he offer you? Rum and coke?
Yeah. Both me and my father do like our rum, but it's for me. I've always got a bottle of rum in the cupboard or something, or cider, or what have you, what I usually drink. But it's more that it's just not a everyday thing for me. I don't see why it's such a big thing to when you see adverts on the telly about going dry for a month to raise money for charity. It's almost like, why is that even a thing? But like I say, maybe it's generational, maybe something else I just don't have an experience of.
Some people say it's because it's like cigarettes. We all try cigarettes as a kind of gateway to adulthood, but not everyone persists with it. And whether or not you persist depends on whether you have the chemical reaction in your brain. So you might just be lucky because of your genetics. The alcohol doesn't do it for you.
That's weird you should say that, because I very rarely smoke now, but it used to be a case of if I was going away for a weekend, camping or something, and you'll be sitting around, I'd buy a pack of 20, and come Monday morning, I'd have absolutely zero desire to go out and buy any more.
Yeah, I think you probably don't. You're lucky you've not got an addictive personality. Let's bring Alison in. Alison, I know that you do struggle to cut down on drinking, and so you stopped completely. Why did you want to stop?
Several reasons, quite a few reasons, more even several, but mainly the weight. I had hit the menopause, and had gradually, the weight had crept up. I'd always been around a size sort of 8 to 10 my whole life and adult life, and I just crept up to about a size 16 to 18.
How much were you drinking? Sorry to interrupt. How much were you drinking?
Well, that had crept up. I suppose it could be anything from half a bottle to a bottle of wine
a day
every evening.
Yeah, every evening. How many calories in that? Because it's hard to believe there are calories in wine, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, but they say there's about 160 in a regular size glass of wine, don't they? But I guess it depends on the strength and the type of wine. So I would say anything from 150 to 200 calories per decent sized glass, I guess. So
and did it work for you? Did you lose weight?
Yeah. I mean, I had to obviously incorporate that in a proper healthy food regime and exercise. But I tried both the food regime and the exercise, but still with the wine, and I just wasn't losing anything. So the wine really tipped the scales, excuse the pun, and I started losing. I was aiming for £1 a week, and I was achieving that. So I lost 4.5 stone, and it definitely, the wine was the serious issue in terms of calories. But not only that, it's my blood pressure was quite high, and I was on blood pressure tablets. I don't take tablets generally in my life. I've always been really fit and healthy, but I was aghast that I'd got to the age where, I was on HRT for menopause and blood pressure tablets. And so, in fact, losing all that weight and stopping the alcohol, came off the blood pressure tablets, blood pressure back to normal. Doctor was absolutely over the moon. All my health had gone right back to where it was when I was in my 30s. And my health because of the exercise, my diet. My previous callers have said the same thing: as skin rejuvenates. The whole thing was fantastic, but it was really hard. As I said, I tried the diet for several months with the alcohol, but dieting with the food and the exercise.
Why is it so? Because that's what after today. Why is it so difficult? Why did you find it so difficult to stop drinking?
It's so hard to know, really, because I'm not an addictive personality person.
Was it the taste?
It's the taste. It was just lovely. It was a habit forming. I think it was finishing. I'm self-employed, so my days could finish at different hours.
Yes, it's the ritual, isn't it? The pleasurable ritual.
And it's just purely open a bottle of wine and have a bag of crisps.
Oh yes. What's your ritual now, Alison? Sell it to me. Your sober ritual
now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, cup of tea and 1 square of gorgeous dark chocolate, and that does it for me now. And it's lovely. Yeah,
Alison,
really lovely.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, we have a phone in here every Tuesday, and we have talked about cutting down on drinking before. Now, the last time was 18 months ago, and we had one caller, Terry from Devon, who was an unrepentant heavy drinker. Now, here's what he had to say at the time.
I probably drink about a bottle a day, in an evening, a bottle of wine. Often have a snifter of my own homemade rum or gin before I go to bed. Yeah, that's probably far more than the recommended guidelines, but I don't really take any notice of medical guidelines for anything, really. I mean, I'm perfectly fit and active, textbook BMI, the doctor told me the other day. I'm well. I think if I felt that it was affecting me, I probably would cut down.
Well, Terry got in touch with us again this morning to say he has cut down now to around 14 units a week, and he's on the line. So, Terry, welcome back to Call You and Yours.
Hello there.
Hi. Well, you don't sound any different. Why have you cut down?
Well, I had one of these MOTs when you get to a certain age. They send you in, and I was quite honest about what I drank, and so they sent me off for a scan. And it turned out, my liver was bigger than it should be and quite fatty. And I thought then at the time, well, perhaps we really ought to try and do something about this. So what we did, rather than stop completely, is we have 4 nights off.
Who's we, sorry? Is that you and your...
my wife.
Yeah, so she was helping you.
Yeah, she's a great help. She doesn't drink as much as me, but we do like our wine. And so we decided that we would try and not drink during the week, 4 nights a week. That's the target. We don't always hit it, but we've been pretty good. And 6 months after that first scan, I went back to have another one, and they thought their machine had broken. It had made such a difference to the size of the liver and the fat content and everything. So they were quite pleased about that. And So there we are. So
How many units would you say you were on? Because at the time you rang us last time, when you were, as I said, you were an unrepentant drinker. You said you didn't count the units.
About 70 to 80 units a week. Then that would be a bottle of wine plus every day, 7 days a week. And so now we would drink and really look forward to a glass of wine on Friday night, but we're drinking a lot less, in the evening. One tip I would say is get smaller wine glasses. That does help. And if you can find something during the week that you like to drink, one of your earlier callers said, the alcohol-free drinks have got better. The beer is okay.
Yes, everyone says that. The beer's good, yeah.
The wine is still muck, unfortunately, until they come up with something, a bit more drinkable in the wine line. We're still going to want a glass of wine on a Friday night.
Have you tried the fizz?
No, I haven't actually, no.
Because remember that caller said the fizz was the best substitute for wine, if you like fizz.
There we go. Yeah, but you can make, quite nice cocktails with a bit of bitters and tonic and ginger and lemon and stuff. That's okay, rather than your gin and tonic, if that just floats your boat.
Terry, thanks so much for getting in touch. Thank you. Well, the consumer data suggests we're spending more on alcohol but drinking a little bit less of it, probably drinking cocktails and spirits and more expensive stuff. We still drink an awful lot in the UK compared with other wealthy nations, and that's according to the OECD. That's an intergovernmental organisation with 36 member countries. Adults in the UK drink the equivalent on average of 108 bottles of wine a year. Simon Chapple, that's a couple of bottles of wine a week on average. We've heard our listeners' tips, for visualising it, for counting the cost of it. How would you regard it then? We had that caller who thinks of the wine, all the drinks she would have been drinking all lined up on the table.
Yeah, I absolutely love that visualisation of looking at all the wine on the table. That really resonated with me. But equally, you can obviously, as you say, think about it in monetary terms. Amanda said she'd saved £11,000. I mean, that's a first-class trip to the Caribbean, probably two. But visualisation plays a huge role in quitting drinking. So those sorts of techniques are brilliant.
The caller who said that he doesn't get it. Why older people, his dad, why they're all kind of gagging for a drink, and the market analyst Nielsen say demand for non-alcoholic drinks is growing because younger people are creating that demand. Do you think that the non-alcoholic drinks are helping people drink less?
Yes, I do. And also, just to go back to Matthew's point as well, I hear
thank you.
Time and time again, younger people perceive alcohol as their parents' drug. I get approached by a lot of parents who are worried about their sort of teenagers and young adults that getting involved in vaping and other habits.
Or cannabis. Sometimes people email us when we talk about that and say, well, the kids don't drink because they're smoking cannabis, which obviously also isn't great.
I mean, my son's 15 and he's just not interested in alcohol. That was my dad's drug. That was my parents' drug. So that's absolutely the point. But just to come back to alcohol-free drinks, as you mentioned, that there are so many. I know Amanda said that she felt there was a poor selection. Now, I went to America to do a talk in Denver about sobriety, and there were absolutely no alcohol-free drinks. You were lucky if you could find an alcohol-free beer in the shops. Yeah, over here we've got this whole emerging market of botanical drinks that you can mix with tonics or soda drinks. There's one particular one called Utopia, and Seedlip's another one. And
I'm going to stop you. Thank you so much. Only because we're out of time. Thanks so much for being our guest today. It was really interesting. So thanks everyone too who called and messaged us, and thank you for listening. Details of organisations offering information and support with addiction are available at bbc.co.uk/action line, or you can call for free anytime to hear recorded information. Here's the number: 0800 155 947. Tomorrow, have you started thinking about your holes? January's the busiest time for that, and on you and yours tomorrow, Sam